Hello and welcome to Talking Honey, where we look at life's sticky situations and give them a stir. I'm your host, Shelley Horton, and with me are 2GB breakfast host, Ben Fordham.
Hello.
9 Honey columnist, Maria Thattil.
Hello.
And relationship expert, John Aiken.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. The last several months, we've seen a tidal wave of resignations around the world. It's even been given a term, the Great Resignation. The COVID pandemic has everyone reassessing their work situation. Now, Ben, some people say that younger people now get paid for 8 hours a day and they'll only do 8 hours a day. When we started, you did a whole lot of overtime unpaid to get ahead. Are the young ones actually getting it right?
Who are these some people? Are you projecting
Margaret Thatcher right now?
Are you projecting here your view and saying that some people believe this? Because that's what people say when they don't want to own an opinion. You think young people are lazy?
I heard on the grapevine.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll give you my experience. I think young people today are just as hungry, just as keen, just as hardworking than anything I've ever seen before.
Mate.
I've got a young guy called Spiro Christopoulos who called in on my radio show the first time I did a breakfast radio show, day one, and he said, I wanted to welcome you to the new breakfast show, and I thought, how well-spoken's this kid? He then became our Year 12 correspondent, reporting on the HSC and school formals. Because of COVID, there was no dancing or kissing or whatever, and so he came on the air and spoke about it. Then eventually I said, get Spiro in. He did work experience. He's now employed, paid, full-time. He's my night editor working on the radio show. Fantastic young bloke, and he's not a one in a million. There's a 15-year-old girl called Lucy Borg who I met, who comes in and volunteers, works for free. She does the Macca's drive-through on weekends and comes into the radio show during the week. There are phenomenal people out there.
All right,
Shout-outs.
Let's get to you. You're actually part of this because you used to work in a very important job in corporate world, and then you've decided to work for yourself.
Yeah.
So
Which is still important, Shelley.
No.
She's like, and now you're doing a lot less important work.
But is that part of you want to do your own thing and you don't want to work for the man?
Do you know what it was? It was I didn't really like being told what to do, and I wanted to have creative control.
We have that in common.
We have that in common. I wanted creative control over my career, but also it was a lifestyle thing, right? And I could observe, as someone who's growing up in that digital social media generation, you know, it's about working smart, not hard, and you shouldn't have to give up your life and who you are to be a cog in a wheel. Ooh. And I was hungry, and I did it. So I quit. And look, I did have the privilege of having something like Miss Universe to launch that. And I know that that's not a privilege that a lot of people can have, but it certainly is a different lifestyle. It enables me to do work that is fulfilling, impactful. I don't owe it to anyone else. It's about what I want to do.
I like that.
John.
Wow.
But John, do you think that this is a bit of a silver lining of COVID, that we actually now understand the importance of work-life balance and people are actually making a stand? Like, people are quitting their jobs without another job to go to.
Yeah.
Which terrifies me.
Yeah, well, it's courageous, but I do like that idea that balance is important. I've known many CEOs over the years that really, and I've seen the couples in private practice, and one of the couple really is never around at any stage, and there is no balance, and they just throw money at the problems, and it doesn't work. So out of the back of COVID, we've got people that are saying, no, I want balance, and this is how I'm going to get it, and I'm going to spend more time with the kids. I think, you know, it is very healthy, and certainly the kids love it. And like for me, I do Married at First Sight now, but I do very little private practice. So I've got a lot more balance, and I absolutely love it. And I want more of it.
Well, I think I'm like Maria in that I tend to fight with bosses a lot. So
Hey, who said anything about fighting with bosses?
6 years ago, I left full-time work, and I've been an employee my whole career, and then I started my own business. But I think that people who are like have rose-coloured glasses about what it's like to run your own business don't know how hard it is.
That's true.
I've worked more hours for my own business than I've ever done, and I've always had a big sense of pride about my work ethic. So, Ben, you're the opposite to all of this. You're the company man. How many years have you been with the Nine Network?
I've been at the Nine Network for 23 years, I think.
Wow.
A veteran.
A shining light.
And look, I'm here to
perhaps
tell
some
you,
would
thank
say.
you very much, John. I appreciate that. I know it was
Or
so
too
sincere.
scared to leave.
But I would say The Great Resignation is a myth, right?
What?
You need to understand that. The Great
No.
Resignation is a myth. And when I've appeared on these discussion shows with you before, Shelley, you always like to say, oh, I've done some research. There's a research paper somewhere, right?
There is research on this. This is from Forbes
Australian
magazine.
unemployment is at record lows. People may be resigning from a job, but they're going to do another job, or more so, they're actually working from home. That's been the big shift. There are some office blocks where they are looking around and you could throw an object around and you know you're not going to hit anyone. They're empty, and the less people are paid, the harder it is to get them back to work because they've discovered that work-life balance and thinking, hang on, I'm not being paid enough to come in here. But the idea that people are just quitting work and aren't finding other work, I think is unrealistic and isn't reality.
John, how would you counsel people if they want to just quit with nothing to go to?
Well, I've been in that situation a number of times, and I actually am very supportive of it. I say, look, if this is what your intuition's telling you, if going to this job that you're in currently that's toxic, that's bringing you down and chipping away at your self-worth is really, getting on top of you, then it's time to literally sever ties and jump into the unknown. When you do something like that, your full energy goes after it. And I think your focus goes as well. And you then have to find something. It's a bit like when...
could not disagree
Here's the thing.
more.
Here's the thing. When I see someone who's in a bad relationship and they'll say, look, he's not for me forever, but I'll wait for something better to come along. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, okay.
But when they cut that guy off, dump him and say, I deserve better, then they let that new person that's much better for them into their life.
When you use it with a relationship example, I get it. But for me, don't let go of one vine till you've got the next vine to go on to. Like,
Correct.
you know.
Grab multiple vines.
Multiple
As
vines.
many vines that are out there as
All the
possible.
vines.
And
Now-
John's also created a whole industry, which is Instagram influencers and reality
This
stars.
is true.
You've created a whole
I do what I
profession
can,
out
Ben.
there.
It is.
do what I
It's like, he is
contribution
the
to
blue
society.
tick. Yeah. So, Maria, you worked in HR.
Yes.
So when we say things like young people don't have a strong
Yeah.
work, well, when I say
Yes.
young people
Yeah, she's owning it. She's owning it. Well done,
You're
Shelley.
lazy and you don't work hard. All right, go on, give
what
it
do
to
you,
me, Shelley.
but what do you say to that?
Well, you know what it is? When you're looking at different generations, we've had these revolutions with work, right? So industrial revolution back in the day, now we've got the digital one. And I just think that maybe younger generations are growing up with a little bit more technological advancements and they're realizing that we've been given this path of you got to go to uni, you got to get a good job or do a trade. That's not how the world is anymore. So they kind of know how to navigate these spaces where maybe it looks like things are coming a little easier, but it's just different. And it's not necessarily a lack of work ethic, it's just a different manifestation of it. Because I know I work harder now, social media, digital media, doing things all around the clock than I did in a corporate job, but it might look easy to people who don't get it.
Don't do it.
Times are changing, that's all it is. Times
Right.
are
So
changing.
is this now where I have to say, I've
Oh,
learned
I've
from
learned.
today's...
This
learning
enlightened millennial
experience,
has
yeah.
changed
Yes.
my views.
Thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
educating me.
You're welcome.
We will chat about that later. Okay, if you want to see more segments like this, go to 9honey.com.au, or if you have a question for the panel, please email us at 9honey@9.com.au.